the way we're going to do this, we're going to break down the actual clip, right? And then as this goes down, they're going to reference a CBS poll that was conducted by YouGov. And so we're going to break down the clip. We'll comment as it goes. It's only a 10-minute clip, so it should be relatively quick if we keep it all good.
Do the whole thing.
Probably not. But they're going to bring it up, yeah, because they're going to hit the points. They're going to talk their shit, and then we'll move on.
And we'll talk about the revelation that I had after I watched this fucking clip.
Well, yeah, because you were like, oh, I bet this is the case.
I locked in. And like a goddamn hawk, I locked in on this thing, and I couldn't have been more right.
And so then I pulled up the article that they referenced with the polling data that that CBS-News decided to say was true from the poll. And then I pulled up the poll, and then the statement that you were like, yeah, I bet this is how they did this. And I went to the poll, and I was like, yeah, you're right. This is how they did this. And so we're going to go clip.
I'm good.
And then we're going to go article.
Guys. I didn't graduate high school. I am goddamn good. I am goddamn good.
You got one of them good enough degrees, right? No, you got a regular.
I don't have anything, bro.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have anything.
Hey, just remember,
just a guy.
The CEO of Timcast is also he doesn't have a GED either.
Dude, this far into my life, I couldn't feel any less insecure about not having a diploma. Like, tell me
why I need this.
Tell me why you're better than me because you have a college degree. Tell me.
All that debt.
Tell me why you know more stuff than I do. Tell me. I don't give a fuck. I couldn't care any less at this point in my life.
Tell me.
No, I would be thrilled to have to find a new job and tell someone why I don't have a diploma.
Yeah.
Like, tell me what difference it would make to you if I had this piece of paper.
That was hilarious.
Oh.
All right, so let's get into another edition. We never even mentioned how goddamn successful your...
Ooh, they balled out.
It balled out. Over 1,000 views, lots and lots of hate messages, and then the Kyle Kalinske thing, which was super Inception. Response video to a response video of a response video.
Yes.
Yo.
It was awesome.
It was great. So we're going to do this. We're going to watch this clip, and we'll comment as we go, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty details, and we'll explain to you guys how these people are lying to you.
Sound.
Fuck.
It's on the YouTube video. You're good.
Yeah, I usually just mute these people because I don't want to hear their fucking voices.
What is going on in the Republican primary? Because we have some really fascinating numbers out for you this morning that give you a real...
Also, I should mention, because I always have to comment on Crystal Ball's looks, and I get lots of hate, but...
Because you're a piece of shit.
I am willing to be a shallow piece of shit for the show. She's looking real good today. I like this. And Sagar, I love Sagar's new hairdo. I'm a huge fan. Everything they got going on. Except for their stupid fucking set that I don't like. MSNBC Light. What day was this on? This was last week?
It's like Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday. Yeah, because it was this past week, and it was on their day.
So it was on Tuesday because Wednesday I talked to you about it, and then Thursday we looked up back.
Because they didn't do a show. They didn't have a Jasinski and Ryan Grimm show on Wednesday because of the debate. But okay, so let's just do this. Here we go.
Real state of the Republican base. Well, let's start with the CBS News poll, and these are just the top line numbers. This is actually the poll that Trump was referencing in his truth about how he's not going to participate in any of the debates. Go ahead and put the top line up on the screen here. You can see Trump really running away from it.
She just always is so indignant about everything. It drives me nuts, man.
Away with it in terms of the CBS News YouGov poll.
Prior to the
he's at 62. Second, way down the line, is Ron DeSantis, 16%. Next, you got Vivek Ramaswamy at 7, Pence at 5, Scott at 3, Haley 2, Christie 2, Doug Burgum 1, Asa Hutchinson not 8. Now I have it in my head that his name is Ada. It is not Ada. It is Asa.
It's always 1%. Been Asa, girl. Come on.
But perhaps
and let me just add the betting markets compared to the popularity polls. The betting markets I think are really interesting. I don't know if you knew about this, but there's a place you can go to place bets on people's popularities of who's
That's what Timcast was doing.
Yeah, they do that all the time, right? They bring that up because I think that's a truer read on anything.
Yeah.
What are you actually willing to put money on?
Right.
And Vivek, at this particular point, DeSantis just had lost out on the number 2 spot to Trump to Vivek. And it was only by like a couple cents at one point, and then strangely after the debate, DeSantis shot up about 3 cents over Vivek, which was really interesting. But
even more fascinating were some of the details contained within this poll. Put this next piece up on the screen. They asked what was actually a very interesting question. Which of these individuals or institutions do you feel are telling you the truth? So feel what they
Pay
tell you
attention
is
to the way
true.
that they explain this to you, right?
Yes.
Because this is what tipped me off. Pay attention to the way that they're displaying this to you.
They show you 4 categories. Trump, for those listening, feel what they tell you is true. The top answers amongst Trump voters. Trump 71%, friends and family 63%, conservative media figures 56%, religious leaders 42%. We'll dig into the details as we go along, but that's the 4 categories they're going to be talking about.
71% of Trump voters say they think that Trump is telling you the truth. Down at the next highest level, so lower than Trump, 63% said friends and family. Only 56% said conservative media figures. And maybe even the most wild here, religious leaders, only 42%. So again, this is among Trump voters. The person who they most feel is telling them the truth, above friends and family, above like conservative media hosts, Fox News, whoever, and above.
Okay, Ben Shapiro, Dan Bongino, the actual conservative leaders that are in this movement is not Fox fucking News.
No.
First of all, crystal ball. If you were out of your bubble for 5 fucking seconds, you would understand that. But it is in the alt media where most conservative pundit voices come from. It does not come from Fox News.
Right.
Period. Full stop. You wouldn't understand that if you got out of your bubble for a little bit, but it is not Fox News.
Of their religious leaders, they think that Donald Trump is telling them the truth, Sagar.
Yeah, there's a line from a book called The Loudest Voice in the Room. It's a biography of Roger Ailes, and there's a very famous one that I always think about in terms of the news business. And Ailes,
I can't not comment on how, as a producer, they run their show. Sagar starts on this camera, right? And just conveniently just switches to this camera as he's talking midway. And that's because of the earwig that he's wearing inside his ear. They say, okay, camera 1, camera 3. Okay, so he's taking cues from the production team. And I just want everybody to realize you need to break down the fourth wall a little bit to understand how fucking produced this show is and how fucking corporate they are.
Yes. Do you guys realize, right? So he's reacting to the producers. When we do this show, Colin is reacting
To you.
to us.
Yes.
Right? I guess to me, because you're.
I know what I'm
You
about
can't
to do.
react to yourself. Yeah. So he's reacting to me. When I start to talk, Colin shifts the camera. When
Yes.
he starts to talk, he shifts the camera over to him. When we are both talking together, we have the big camera. That's how all of this works, right? These people are being told, oh, yes, now over this one over here.
Yes.
And that's why
And
the
camera
camera
3.
shifts, and then 2 seconds later, then he looks over into the camera.
And that's why he's able to talk seamlessly as he switches to the camera.
This is
This
MSNBC.
shit drives me nuts.
Because any other big show, Joe Rogan, the number one show, they run it the exact same way that we do.
Yes.
When one person talks, Jamie then shifts the camera to that person.
Yes.
They're not being told where to look and what to do what. It's only when people are like pumping something that they're, where is the camera? Which camera am I at?
Exactly.
Because that's the one that is your camera, and
Yes.
that's the one that I should look into.
And also, most of the time we're talking, especially I love the picture-in-picture frame when we're showing the desktop view and stuff like that, because
Yes.
90% of the time, me and you are talking to each other. Like, we understand, we look at the chat, we do the things, we do this, but this is not, we're talking to each other. This is how this goes, right?
Yes.
And so it's a very,
So I'm away from
dare
Mike
I
all the
say,
time.
authentic. It's very authentic that way compared to the way these people do it, because they have producers in their ears telling them which way to look. And this is part of the reason, this is part of the whole breaking down breaking points thing.
Yes.
It's because I can't stand the fucking corporate facade that they decide to put up. But anyway,
Yes.
sorry, I'm getting aside.
apparently, they were debating something about being informing the audience. And Ailes looked at everybody and he said, people don't want to be informed. They want to feel informed. And I think
Wow.
about that every single time.
It's what you do
that I
to
see
them.
stuff
But
like
that
this.
sounds like Logan Roy.
Well, it was based on for a reason. Ailes was, in many ways, is a much more interesting
Sauter's so
character,
bad
I
at it,
think,
too.
than Logan Roy. But feeling like what they tell you is true. This is a story about the downstream destruction of norms and of faith in institutions. And I'm not going to blame the voters themselves. I think it is up because of the lack of trust in religious leaders and in conservative media figures. The fact that they are willing to place so much truth and emphasis in inside of Trump shows you that they have no trust in the mainstream media, no trust in their government, even the friends and family number. They're willing to put so much of their faith, their interest, and look at the truthfulness of what Trump says, because they literally have such low levels of social trust with the people around them and with overall society. Now,
Pay attention to what he is saying, because everything that they're talking about now and all the assumptions they're taking are from the poll that we will show you in the future. And so everything that they're talking about right now, there's a lot of assumptions being made here. The way they're delivering you the content from this particular poll, which every thumbnail, you will find out where the thumbnails came from. They did not make them.
Right.
CBS News did, based off the poll that we'll show you after the article. It's just, you need to pay attention to all these little things to realize what they're doing to you when they're delivering to you what it is that they're showing you on the show.
now, there's a lot of factors that go into that, but I'm not in the blaming people business. I'm, in the business of
I
being
am.
like, how the hell does something like this happen? It's multi-generational, that we've gotten to this point. It's taken, economics is a huge part of it. Culture has a big part of it as well. Media, centralization, monopoly.
At least
and
he's
so,
digging
there's so much, I
into
think, really
layers.
that goes into this. But this result, this is the central problem of our time.
Yeah.
And, I don't think Democrats necessarily should feel all that
Wrong
much better. If you were to flip this around and be like, MSNBC, friends and family, then government, Trump or something like that, I guarantee you would have similar results. So it's bifurcated really in terms of who you trust, who is telling you exactly what you want to hear. That's a big problem. Now, luckily, you and I have found success in not telling people necessarily what they want to hear.
That's a lie.
But
Yes, it is.
Sometimes
We
you have
might-
a take that your audience doesn't like.
We might have to pull up the opening just to show them what they're talking about, because it was the same day that he talked about where their primary audience is
Yeah.
and why they're doing what they're doing.
we're not under any illusion, though, that this is a big, massive segment of the country. If anything, we are cutting very much against the grain. That's great that some people do.
Very much
wanna
against
feel-
the grain. Against what? MSNBC and Fox News? I mean, the corporate press shills that we all talk shit on every single day because we know what they're doing is lying to us. And the only difference between you and them is that you're solely producing and broadcasting on the internet. That's the only difference between you and them. There's literally nothing different between you and them other than the fact that you'll touch certain topics that they won't touch, but you'll still give them the same cammed MSNBC or Fox News approach that you'll get on the cable news, except you're just doing it on the internet. You're trying to create this new mainstream media, which is exactly the same as the corporate press does today, except it's not over cable news. It's not over cable television. Excuse me. You're just doing it over the bandwidth of the internet. You're giving the people the same exact shit, slightly different stories, but the same exact facade.
challenge and all that, but the vast majority of people don't. The vast majority of people want to feel comfortable and they want to hear exactly what they think being parroted right back.
I also don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with him that the vast majority of people want to hear what they think they agree with. I don't disagree with that at all. The vast majority of people that are intaking mainstream corporate press as their news want to have their biases confirmed, which is exactly why they'll tune into MSNBC or CNN compared to, say, Fox News. They will pick one of the two lanes and then go back to that. You are not offering anything different than that, except the only difference is you're doing it over the internet and not over cable television.
And I think there's two things here. I think the factors that are ongoing, multi-decade, that justifiably broke a lot of trust in institutions, but also have really broken down social cohesion. That's how that friends and family number makes sense. Created an opening for an individual like.
I don't know. Let me ask you about that, right? The friends and family number, I think, is interesting because when you look at the 4 categories that they brought up, which they excluded a number of other categories, which we'll get into later, why is it you think that people would trust in what Trump says more than what their family and friends say more?
Because your families lie to you all the time.
Yes.
Because people's family aren't honest with them, whether it's about small things or they're unwilling to be honest with them about questions that they're asked or realities about their health or any number of things. It's because people's families lie to them all the fucking time.
And I would also add, if I will, that part of your friends and family can also be very, very ill-informed as well.
Yeah.
And so if you're, to bring up Shane Gillis, you know, if your Fox News mom is talking some crazy shit because
Right.
that's the only place she gets her, it's how she becomes informed, is just watching Fox News, you're going to take what she says with a grain of salt, because
Right.
the only place she's getting her info is from either Facebook or Fox News. So hence the idea that somebody could not trust what their family and friends are telling them compared to, say, somebody like Donald Trump. That's how that makes sense.
Or even if you just
and they do not address that at all. They just
No.
say, well, how can you not trust your family and friends? You're going to trust Trump over this. You're doing the entire system a disservice when you just make that blatant assumption.
Right.
When you're assuming the people that are around you are probably less informed than you are, because you're probably younger and you're probably more tapped into the internet compared to like cable television and, say, Facebook. That's a perfectly good explanation for why you may not trust your family and what your family and friends are talking about, especially when it comes to politics.
Yes.
Trump.
Yes.
Hey, Dr. Drew, my wife
God
Susan here. We want to show
damn
you
it!
something.
I love
probably
Dr. Drew,
seen
but we
this
can't give him
guy.
a free
Oh.
ad. This is why, bro. This is why I'm about to just.
Reddit.
I don't want to buy YouTube Premium. Don't want to. But I will say, you know what? I will say this. We might tap into some Patreon funds to fund our New York Times articles, our
That might be
Washington
worth
Post
it.
articles, and
Yeah,
all that
that
stuff.
would be worth it.
It might be worth it to do that. And
That would be worth
YouTube
it.
Premium would be part of that.
Yeah, that would be worth it.
So shout out to all you patrons. You're going to make that happen.
Wow.
There we go. The fucking businessman extraordinaire.
Why must all media be misleading at the very least? Does it have to do with Obama repealing the Smith-Mundt Act?
I couldn't talk to that exactly because I don't know what the Smith-Mundt Act is, but I'm going to write that down. Can you write that down?
Yes.
You have
I'm gonna
accessible writing materials.
Text it to you right now.
I couldn't speak to exactly that, but part of the reason that people would... Why must all media be misleading?
Because it's privately funded and everybody has an agenda.
Because they all have a dollar to make. And it's super easy. I mean, we saw that with BuzzFeed until they fucking went out of business. It's super easy to sell people on clickbait lies and make money that way.
It feels good to feel right. It feels good to feel informed.
It does.
That's what Soccer was
Exactly.
just saying.
It
People
feels
don't
good
really
to be
wanna-
informed.
They don't really want to be informed, but they want to feel informed.
Yes.
And if you can make a whole shitload of people feel informed,
Yep.
then that's what they're going to do.
It made it legal to use propaganda on the American citizen. Well, there you go. There you go. And so this probably has something to do, I'm going to make an assumption at this point, that this is we as a news organization are not actually a news organization. We're an entertainment organization. So we will present people the news in the form of entertainment.
Right.
Hence the Chris Matthews
Fox
or
News.
it's particularly Fox News but any of the mainstream pundits on corporate press outlets. It's entertainment shows. That's how they get away with it. And they're like, well, we're not a straight news outlet. This is an entertainment show. We're an entertainment network. This is how we make money. And it wouldn't be hard. Nobody wants to hear that the fucking federal government hates you and wants you to die.
No.
But if that's the reality, we're not going to get any clicks from that. We're not going to get advertisers from that. We're not going to make any money. We're going to go out of business tomorrow.
When you ask why this show is still small, that's why.
Amen. All right. Carry on, Crystal. Thank you very, very much for that, Kevin. That was a great question.
And, almost overtly says, like, I am the person who will tell you, don't believe no one else, right? And makes all of
That's
our
what you say, by the
politics,
way, Crystal.
both on the Republican and the Democratic side, and independents, really among everybody, makes all of our politics about how do you feel about this one individual. And, if you're a Trump supporter, if your friends and family aren't Trump supporters, then, whatever view of the world they have or whatever quote unquote facts they bring to the table, you are very likely to distrust.
It's so disingenuous to just say that without diving into the layers that why is it that you would believe something that Trump
Right.
said compared to all these other things.
Right.
It's so disingenuous to just, I'm going to take these 4 categories, I'm going to make assumptions, I'm going to move on and build a narrative over top of that. That's exactly what's going on here. These people are no different, man. They're no different than the mainstream corporate press. It's disgusting.
I don't think it's an accident that at a time when he is overtly at war with Fox News, which is the largest, obviously, conservative media outlet, that you would have some fading trust in
barely
that
after they drop
institution as well. Because
Carlson.
if they aren't backing up what Trump is saying, then they must not be telling the quote unquote truth. And same thing, you've had a lot of religious leaders recently who've come out against Trump who were trying to move people over to DeSantis or Tim Scott or whoever.
Please explain to me, Crystal Ball, how in-depth your understanding of religious leaders are. Please tell me that.
Doesn't matter. Trump's at the center of all of it.
Exactly. When was the last time you went to church, bitch? That's all I'm asking. I'm not going to act like I have.
Well, her dad's conservative. He has a gun.
He's got a gun. He's from West Virginia.
That obviously is not working out either, but it really is a byproduct of someone who has, whether this was like an overt tactical strategy or just, the outcome of him operating based on his id, he has made all of politics just about him, not policy, not the past, not history, not, any sort of like logical reasoning or facts.
I also don't have an argument against that statement, by the way.
No, she's not wrong about that.
She's not wrong about that.
How do you feel about this individual? And so in that light of that context and the preparation over many decades to create that sort of opening for an individual to come in and fill that void, I think that's how you make sense of these numbers. But
Yeah.
it is pretty wild to see.
Absolutely, and that's how it manifests in the polls. Like, put this one up there that we just came out this morning.
Okay, so let's move on from this because they're going to get away from our
Because
actual poll here.
The biggest issue that I had with this was the way that this was being presented, right? To me, it seemed, the presentation of it seemed like they were saying you grabbed a group of Republicans and said, who do you trust most? And 71% of them, their first answer was Donald Trump. And after that, their next answer was religious leaders. And the next answer was this. And that's...
So explain to me your thinking when we were talking about this,
So
please.
I told Colin, I said, the way that this seems to me, this seems like the only way that you could get this information is if you ask people a series of questions and ask them, do you feel like what Donald Trump is telling you is the truth?
Yeah.
When you're talking
Maybe
to
like 95 pages of questions.
When you're talking to your family and friends, do you feel like what they're telling you is the truth? When you're talking to your religious leaders, do you feel like what they're telling you is the truth? And I said, and that to me is a different question than asking them immediately with no list, who do you think, like who do you trust the most to give you information?
Yeah.
Right? And that to me is how it was being presented.
Yeah.
And so I told Colin, I said, I almost guarantee that if you look at the study, they'll tell you how they worded the question, and it probably will show that it's multiple different questions.
Yes.
So we went to coffee. Colin spends his coffee break looking over this study, and he's like, hey, you happen to be right about this. And then I said, isn't it
Imagine
weird?
that.
It's almost like I know after 5 years of doing this, like what I'm fucking talking. It's almost like I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's almost like you don't actually need a fucking doctorate in journalism to break down politics for people. That all it takes is a little
Yes.
bit of common sense and maybe some experience in the field. So
So
Colin,
let's bring up the actual
yes.
article real quick. So this is the actual article where they got their info from.
Yes.
And this is the CBS-News poll finds Trump's big lead grows as GOP voters dismiss indictments. Excuse me. And right here, you already see one of the thumbnails that they showed, one of the pictures, graphics, as they say on the show, that they showed, that came from this poll. And they go through multiple things. They make their own graphics based off this YouGov poll, because a poll does not look like this.
No.
I should ask. An actual YouGov poll does not look anything like this. So all the graphics they showed to you, including the one that says, feel what they tell us is true. And they show 4 of these categories here. Well, let's take a little gander at the actual fucking poll here. So this is the actual poll done and published for CBS News, August 16th through 18th, 2023, adults in the U.S. Brought to you
Also,
by
again,
YouGov.
it's 2,000 people. Like, they keep telling you
The sample is 2,061 adults in the United States.
breaking points will use a poll and then tell you the polls don't matter. And then they'll use another poll and say, isn't it interesting what this says about the country? When it's 2,000 fucking people. They won't ever tell you what the sample size is or any of the context that goes within it. It's 2,000 people.
300 million people divided by 2,061. Oh, I did it wrong on my fucking calculator. Sorry. 2,061. 300. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. enter, divide. That is a 0.0000687% of the population.
Well, that tells us everything we need to know, doesn't
It
it?
should probably tell everybody what we need to know here.
Yeah.
So this poll is 93 pages long.
Yo, you were right. This is from Script. This is,
Yeah,
you
it's
said
a
Scribner.
Script.
It is from Script.
Script.
Yeah.
So
'cause
it's
when
the
you
same
said it-
company.
When you said it to me, you said Scribner.
Yeah, because that's what
That's your writing software.
that's
Yes,
that's
but
my boys
it
right
is
here.
from
This is
Script,
where all
and
my scripts come from.
Script is the audiobook company that I used. Yeah, that's really funny.
That's so funny that they do that. Okay, so
They host a ton of documents too. Yeah.
yes, and painstakingly, I went through every single question, and you'll notice it's weird, right? They have question 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's a bunch of questions, 17, 18, 19, 24, 25. That's not how you count. So
Right.
I thought it was really interesting. And then we go all the way down to, we'll start at page 92. If we can find it. Okay, so here we go. Okay, this is getting into the actual question that they're talking about here. Sources of information, source of information. So this is, they don't include the question numbers that have extra. They have like a 39A, 39B.
Okay.
And so there we are. We get down to page 84, where we talk about source of information. The actual question asked, these days, information is everywhere. We're interested in how you describe where you feel you get information that is true. For each of these general sources, do you feel that they tell you generally is either true, they are being accurate, mistaken, but they are trying to be accurate, lies, they are intentionally saying false things to mislead you.
Okay,
so already,
what did I say? Generally, the polls will tell you the question that they asked.
yes.
This is the question that they asked, right? It's not who do you trust most. It's a detailed question about these days, information is everywhere.
Yes.
We're interested in how you describe where you feel you get information that is true. For each of these general sources, do you feel that what they tell you is generally either true, they're being accurate, mistaken, but they're trying to be accurate, lies, they're intentionally saying false things to mislead?
Yes. So we have in the category here, true, mistaken, lies. Right. So they go from there and they break it down in 3 categories and they put however many people responded. Obviously, they don't tell you the people because we're only dealing with a little over 2,000. So they just put in percentages, right? And this is how many categories there are, first of all, right? There's Joe Biden. There's Donald Trump. They say liberal media figures. They say conservative media figures. They say medical scientists, corporate leaders, religious leaders, your friends and family, social media influencers. So already we've gone down from, we have 9 and they only decided to show you 4. So already we're already just look at the manipulation at hold, right? So amongst those, everybody gets asked this same exact question. Everybody gets the same exact question, right?
9 different ways. Almost like exactly what I fucking said.
It's exactly what you said. So when they look at Joe Biden, they say 10% of people say that Joe Biden is telling the truth. 11% say he is telling the truth, but that he's mistaken. And 79% people say that Joe Biden is fucking lying to you. We're not going to include that in the poll because we're CBS polling,
Right.
We're CBS News, and we're not going to tell you that shit. Donald Trump, 53% of people in those 2,000 say Donald Trump's telling us the truth. 25% say he's telling the truth, he's wrong, but he's mistaken.
But they gave you the combined number of the
Yes.
78% of people who think that Donald Trump is telling them the truth.
Exactly.
Even though 25% of them said they think he's mistaken, that he's not accurate about what he's talking about, but he has the essence of it.
Yes,
You know?
because what's 53 plus 25?
78.
There you go. Almost like CBS News is lying to you. And
Yeah.
Breaking Points decided to spread the fucking lie.
Recycle it. Take the graphics, put them on their own show, not do the research, not look at the fucking question,
Yep.
not look at the way that the poll was asked, not look at the way that it's structured.
Nothing.
Just take the graphics and put them on their own show and act like it's the truth.
Dude, I mean, as far as all the breaking down Breaking Points goes, we got them. We got him right here. We got him in a
minutes.
fucking lie.
The clip was 10 minutes, so it took me 10 minutes. It took me 10
Yes.
minutes, and then I waited
that's
a day.
wrong.
Like I did. I watched the clip. I waited a day, and then I said, "Colin, did you watch the thing from Tuesday? Did you watch?"
I was like,
this
oh yeah,
thing?"
baby.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Yeah. So it's not like I sat on it for a day. I
No.
thought about it and I was like, that doesn't make any sense the way that this
No.
is being asked.
I bet you they're
And
fucking
then
the numbers up.
Finally I asked about it. Like, did you
Imagine
do
that.
this? Do you think maybe it's this? It seems like it's odd the way that this is being done.
Would you put breaking points in the realm of liberal media figures at this point, telling you
Yes.
the truth?
I don't think that they're intentionally lying to you. I think they're mistaken. I think a lot of times they're mistaken.
I think they're mistaken.
They're right about a
100%.
lot of shit, and they're mistaken a lot
because
of the time.
they rely. This is exactly why, and this is the tell, right? This is the tell.
I don't even know that
They
it's
showed
malicious, you know?
these
I think
fucking graphics.
I think it's arrogance and ignorance. I don't
Which
think
tells
it's
me-
even malice.
Yeah, I think it's just they're not doing what they say they do.
Yes.
I think they pulled up the CBS News story and they have, here's the graphics. This is what the poll said. We're not going to look into the poll, but we have some graphics. We cut and copy. We'll show them the graphics, and this is what we're doing. That's exactly what I think they fucking did.
Yes.
Right there. And so there you go. I don't know. I mean, we can show you the rest of the shit. I mean, we went through it all. There it is right there. They're fucking
I think
lying
the
to
point
you.
has been made. Yeah. They are in fact replacing corporate media with a brand new version of the exact same thing.
Yes. They didn't look into the poll. They relied on the corporate press's reporting of the poll and then told you that lie.
And we did it at our day jobs. Colin did it on his phone.
In fucking 10 minutes, dude. How
I
long?
told you
I mean,
while we were getting coffee.
that was it.
It was
I
on
mean,
the
I had
coffee
the day.
break.
We were sitting there
Yes.
waiting for coffees to come, and I was like, bro, you were right.
So it was less than 10
100%.
minutes because we were still
100% you were
waiting
right.
for coffee
Yep.
when it happened.
Yep. That was it.
So that's how much work it takes. They have a staff of multiple people. They said 13 people or something like that.
Something
one
like
time
that. Yeah.
They couldn't. Not one of them could take 10 minutes on their phone.
If you're
to
a
find
Breaking
out.
Points viewer, this is where your hard-earned dollars are going, to supporting these fucking corporate media shills who are going to tell you the same lies you want to hear, but you're not going to get the truth. They are mistaken. They are wrong. They are not telling you what is real. Done. I don't want to hear shit about it. Okay, they are fucking 100% wrong because they didn't even look at the fucking poll. I found it in 10 minutes. They didn't even have the respect for your dollar to look at the actual poll and realize what CBS News was telling them was a fucking fabrication. That's where your money's going. Give me some comments now, please.
I was just going to say, if you check our comments, it's all about how official they are and how true they are and how much
Bro,
stuff they know and how well informed
I'm
and
so
trusted.
fucking tired of these shills, man. I'm so fucking tired of it.
we're
They're
just
selling
idiots,
you
right?
on a lie, man. I'm done with it.
Yeah, we're just idiots. We don't know what we're talking about.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat.